I've been mulling this over the last day or so, and it's about Google. And I'm trying to figure out, okay, did these guys lie to us about the Pixel 6 and the Pixel 6 Pro and the battery and the recharging? Because there's a lot of differing opinions out there right now. There's a lot of information. Basically, it's been revealed that they don't charge at 30 watts. And it's basically been a preconceived notion, maybe a erroneous belief that we've had or people have had, that they charge at 30 watts. I mean, that's what basically everything that I saw said. If you go to GSM Arena, kind of what it says about 30 watts. Nobody really says, hey, the Google Pixel 6 really only charges at like 22 watts, and then it has adaptive charging, so then it throttles down to like 18 and 14 watts. So, did they lie to us about this? Or is this on us, and we just assumed because they were peddling a 30-watt charger that it was supposed to charge at 30 watts? Because you kind of are led to believe if you have a new phone, 30 watts is really not that exceptional. You look at some of the other Android phones out there, they're charging at 35, 45, 55, 120 watts. I mean, they're charging super high fast speeds, so we all thought, hey, this is going to be a lot faster. But Google really only talked about, well, how fast you can get from 0 to 50%. And that's about half an hour. What they don't tell you is that it throttles it severely. And then once you get from that 50 to 80 bracket, it takes even longer. And then once you get to 80%, it throttles it so much that it takes forever to get from 80 to 100%. And a lot of people have been realizing this. Not so much official testing, but people like The Verge, I believe, have gone out and actually tested it. That's where I got some of these numbers from. It's very peculiar because, of course, Google followed the trend of everyone else and said, you guys don't deserve a charger in the box. You can pay us for our phone, and then you are on your own, but we'll sell you one, right? And the funny thing is the whole logic behind the whole charging situation was Apple decided to be courageous and brave, and there were so many chargers in the world you didn't need one. But by the way, we created a new MagSafe charging method that not even our 18-watt power charging brick will work with properly. You need our new 20-watt charging brick. So, I don't know. You get a lot of mixed signals with these companies, and then Samsung fell in line, and then Google fell in line. So everybody else copied Apple and decided it was good to not give you a charger. Well, then they created a 30-watt charger and led everybody to believe, at least I believe they led people to believe, because most people aren't going to go out there and test their phone and go, hey, is this really charging at 30 watts? No, you put it on the charger and then you go, what gives? Why is this taking so long to charge? And they did it under the guise thinking that people are actually going to get all-day battery life. I don't think they counted on the fact that you're not, in some cases, going to get all-day battery life. Certain people will who don't use their phone very much. Me, I got to charge my phone every day. So it's a very peculiar situation of, okay, I didn't tell you you're getting a 30-watt charging capability, but I led you to believe it anyway, and I didn't correct you until people came up and said, hey, you guys didn't really make a phone that charges at 30 watts. And I have to call shenanigans there. And I'm not putting the red light on. I'm not going to go in and do like a serious rant on this. Okay, I lied. Red light's on. So, yeah, I have some problems with this. I think that companies should be truthful. I don't like this area that they like to deal in. You look at Apple. They never tell you actual specs. They go, it's this much faster. They deal in percentages. When you deal in percentages and you don't deal in actual numbers and hardware and specs, it gives you room for hyperbole and for saying, oh, it does this fast. Well, that's under certain conditions, right? So you have to have a certain charger, certain conditions. It's not like you get a 50% charge if you're on 50%. If you're on 50% to go to 100, it's like 2 to 3 times longer than it is to go from 0 to 50 because of the way it charges. So basically, in no stretch of the imagination, you're never going to see 30-watt charging on here. The fastest that the Pixel 6 or the 6 Pro will charge is like 21 and 23 watts. So it averages out to about 22. So even with a 30-watt Google charger, which they encourage you to buy, of course, because they don't give you a charger in the box, and that's what they sell and market towards this phone. If you get a 30-watt Google charger, you're not getting more than 21 to 23 watts. In fact, it only actually charges 10 minutes faster than the Pixel 5. So, what's the deal here? Like, why does it matter? Why do we find ourselves in this precarious position? Why would Google do this? Well, there are fields of thought here. There's actual science behind it. When you charge your phone slower, it doesn't generate as much heat. It doesn't degrade the battery as fast, so you get better battery life long term. They went on record, their little report was like, look, You can charge fast or you can have good battery life. And they opted for good battery life. So that's what happens. It starts off charging at about 22 watts. Then if you get to 50%, it kind of throttles down a little bit, at least from my understanding, to about 18 watts. And then when you get to 80%, it throttles down to like 14 watts or something crazy low like that. And this is a popular thing with a lot of electronics now, especially electric vehicles. Whatever it is about once the battery starts getting full and the amount of energy it takes and the heat transfer and all sorts of things, it's actually better for the longevity of the battery not to charge it to 100%. So they put these big batteries in here. Google puts these big batteries in these phones, relies on believing you're going to get all day battery, and I guess nobody's just going to notice that it doesn't charge at 30 watts because it's going to charge overnight and it's just going to be full when they wake up in the morning. Except when the rubber meets the road, people are getting anywhere from 3 to 6 hours of screen on time and finding that they actually have to charge the phone during the day, and then it takes forever to recharge. So when you're awake and you look at it and you're like, okay, so I got from 0 to 50 pretty quick, and then the rest of it, it's like 2 hours later. It charges almost a full hour slower than the S21 Ultra even. So yeah, there's a significant disparity here, and maybe Google didn't come out and outright say, look, you're not getting 30 watts of charging, but they sold everyone a 30-watt charger, and the assumption, whether flawed or not, based off of how fast they said it would get from 0 to 50%, what they were peddling. I don't have the technology at home so I can detect how quickly a phone is charging. Thankfully, there are good people like The Verge and other big groups of people that do this kind of testing. That's outside my area of expertise and my tool set. But I appreciate that they do it. I like the transparency. When you have a series of watchmen, you have people who are independent reviewers who test this stuff out and then hold companies accountable. Just like the fingerprint sensor. When it comes to the fingerprint sensor, they're like, here's your fingerprint sensor, and everyone's like, why is it so crappy? Why is it not working right? Why is it slow? Why does it take forever to detect? Why isn't it working? Why do I have to try 5 times? Well, because of security algorithms that it used to make it more secure. Well, security is great, but maybe you should set an expectation for people that your fingerprint sensor is going to be slow, and that's why it's going to be slow. Instead of just letting it show up and then people start throwing up red flags because it's problematic and it doesn't work well. I know people who have taken this phone back because the fingerprint sensor is so spotty in some instances. There has been a software patch. I made a video about this. It has gotten faster, more reliable, more accurate, but at the same point in time, that was after a bunch of complaining for weeks before it finally got fixed. And I can only imagine during beta testing, before I even got my hands on this, that it was probably worse. So I don't like what Google's done here. I don't like the approach they took with the fingerprint sensor. I don't like how they didn't include facial recognition technology. I don't like that they shipped out Android 12 with bugs to the tune of the Android 12 beta on One UI 4 on Samsung ran circles around it with how much better and efficient it was. I didn't have a single crash on Android 12 One UI 4 on my Z Flip 3, whereas I had a whole host of problems, and so did other people with the Pixel 6s Google's the author of Android. It should not have these problems. So all of these things combined put me in a precarious position because I like the device. I've told people it's a good device to buy. I love it. I went out and I bought this one. I think it's very good, but I don't like the shenanigans. So Google, if you're watching this, you need to cut out the shenanigans, because if you want people to buy your phone, not only do you have to make good hardware, you have to build a rapport. You have to instill this belief in people that you actually care about them and the experience when they buy the phone, and not, oh, well, yeah, this is why the fingerprint sensor is problematic. Oh, yeah, we shipped the phone with bugs and we should have waited a couple weeks. Or, oh, yeah, the Pixel 6, it doesn't really get 30 watts of battery power. It doesn't get 30 watts of charging. You're really going to get about 22, 23, 21. And then it's going to throttle it. And then it's going to go down even more. So to the tune of it actually takes way forever and basically as slow charging as last generation's phone. It's great that it preserves the battery, but you should have told people that. All you had to do is come out and say, look, we're giving you a 30-watt charger. That's what it needs so it can charge at these speeds, and it's going to preserve your battery life, so it's going to be good for the 5 years of the phone, because I hate to break it to people, but in the future, whenever you realize that you've been using this 100-watt, 120-watt, 50-watt charging, it has an impact on the battery. And you're going to lose cycles, I think. I mean, that's basically the way technology works. Anytime you use a faster charger, it pushes more watts. It makes the battery work harder. It generates more heat. There's resistance and all sorts of other stuff that goes on scientifically and mechanically whenever you're trying to charge these batteries. So it's great you can recharge a phone like the OnePlus 9 Pro in like 40 minutes. That's amazing. But the battery's not going to hold up for 5 years. Whereas you have the Pixel 6 that's going to take forever to charge, but it's probably going to hold up 3, 4, or 5 years. Longevity, that's great, that's what you want, but you need to be upfront with this stuff. You can't tell somebody something or let them believe something and then not correct them. So they saw that everybody was talking about how it has a 30-watt charger, and then after a bunch of people complain, and then some people complaining leads to testing, testing leads to results, and then you find out, oh yeah, by the way, it's not really getting 30 watts charging, and you've been peddling a 30-watt charger that really doesn't charge the phone much faster. Kind of a waste of money. And then capitalizing off the Pixel 5a, it had problems with the camera and the overheating in 4K 60. So this track record that Google is creating here of willfully not disclosing things, not testing things fully, putting products out that aren't ready yet, they better fix this for the next go around. Like, you can only say, oh, gee shucks, guys, so many times. And maybe they believe this is not a gee shucks moment. I think that it makes me question your credibility. And whenever you start doing that with consumers, they stop trusting you. They don't want to buy your product. It doesn't matter how good your product is. If your reputation, if your goodwill in the community takes a hit because of things like this, like neglecting to give people information or willfully letting them believe something or putting something out that creates an illusion that a performance level exists and then it doesn't, people are going to start going back to iPhone. They're going to go back to Samsung. And we want a legitimate competitor. I like the hardware. I love the Pixel 6. I like the Pixel 6 Pro. I like so much that they did. I think they got a whole lot of stuff right. I really do. But then it's this stuff, and it's like that one kid at school, and he has a good heart. He does some good things, but he just keeps screwing up and screwing up. And then you have to start thinking, okay, is this kid a screw up, or is he doing this on purpose? And that amount of gray area is quickly dwindling, in my opinion, and I don't like it. So, do I think that they lied to us? No. Do I think they let people believe that there was a capability that existed that didn't in reality? I do think they did. I think they tried to sell us a charger we didn't really need, and you could have just used the 18-watt charger and got almost the exact same charging speed, which could have been avoided if they just put a charger in the box in the first place and not tried to copy everyone else and screw us out of having a charger. So, all that to say, Google should own this. It is their fault. There's some blame here, I think, to be cast. Now, do I think you shouldn't go buy a Pixel 6? No, I don't. Do I think you shouldn't buy a Pixel 6 Pro? No, I don't. Do I think they're good, fantastic devices? Yes, I do. But I got to call shenanigans on this one, and I don't like it. So, yeah, that's the moral of the story for this video. Now, that's all I've got. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave those down in the comment section. I'll get back with you. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like and the subscribe button and the little notification bell if you want updates when new videos come out. And as always, thanks for being here. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you guys next time.